OP is adamant that her husband's sister has been trying to kill her. 3 days ago, my husband and I went to his parents' house to visit for the weekend. His sister is a college student and was home for the summer as well, so we got to see her too. Since they have a lakefront property and the weather was very nice, a lot of our time was spent at the lake this weekend, and some very weird things happened. For some background first, I've always gotten kind of an off vibe from my husband's younger sister. When we were dating, it seemed like she would find any excuse in the world to avoid me, and when we did interact, I sensed some hostile undertones pretty much every single time. I brushed it off as just me maybe not clicking with her or misinterpreting her. Still, when we got married last year, I included her as one of my bridesmaids. And Loki, she was a huge pain in the arse for that entire experience. My other bridesmaids told me she made snide comments to them that made them quite uncomfortable. I was huffy during the bridal shower and wedding rehearsal. She made weird faces at the decorations and pulled weird faces when she ate the cake too. I still brushed it off as maybe just her personality and left it at that. At the lake though, a number of events occurred that kind of unsettled me. On the day we arrived, my husband's sister had invited a number of her own friends from college over, and the group of us spent some time together in the water. At one point, we all decided to have a big chicken fight, and at first, it was quite fun and lighthearted. Then a bunch of people, including my husband, broke away to do their own thing, and his sister turned to me and said, "Let's do another round with her other two friends left in the lake," and asked to get on my shoulders. I said sure and kneeled down under the water to let her up. But instead of getting on my shoulders properly, she got on top of my head and wouldn't budge at all when I tried to move her. I couldn't get her off me, or even get my head up to breathe for what felt like a long while. My head was being squeezed between her thighs, and I was seriously panicking by the time I managed to dislodge her and bring my head up to the surface. What's weird about it is that the other two weren't even paying attention to any of this, or even participating in the attempted chicken fight at all. My husband's sister didn't say anything to me when I came up to the surface. She just kind of gave me this weird snort chuckle and got out of the water. I was noticeably shaken and trying to catch my breath, but I assumed maybe this was just some sort of accident, so I tried to act fine and didn't say anything. My husband's parents have a sea-doo that they let those of us with a boating license use. I don't have a boating license, so it was mostly just me riding behind my husband with him at the wheel. My husband's sister offered me a ride though, and I didn't want to say no, thinking maybe this was a chance to bond with her, so I agreed to it. I told her the sea-doo still made me quite nervous though, and to take it easy if she could. She definitely did not take it easy. She took any and every opportunity she could get to jump the sea-doo off the wakes of boats that passed us by. She was doing sharp turns at high speeds like crazy, and I found myself having to cling to her for dear life throughout the ride. There were points where we both nearly fell off the sea-doo with how wildly she was driving it. Again though, I didn't say anything about it and acted fine, because I thought maybe she didn't realize how fast and crazy she was going. Later, my husband's dad yelled at her for attempting to splash my husband with the sea-doo while he was in the water. Their dad told her it was dangerous to try and ride close to people in the water like that because she could have run him over. After about an hour or so, it was just me in the water with my husband's sister on the sea-doo, and she drove that thing within a couple of feet of me just to turn it and splash me with the water. She was way closer than she ever got to my husband when she'd do it to him. I laughed it off, but again, I was inwardly freaked out. That brings us to yesterday at dinner. As everyone in the family has been made acutely aware of by my husband, I have a serious dairy allergy, to the point where ingesting even a little bit of it can risk causing anaphylaxis. My husband's sister contributed a big pot of tomato rice and told me there was no dairy in it, so I could have some. I trusted her and helped myself to a portion of it, but shortly after eating it, I had to excuse myself because I started to feel extremely ill and wound up spending the rest of my night puking my brains out. I felt super faint, and it took a lot of effort to breathe. Thankfully, I had my EpiPen if things got bad enough, but still, the whole experience was just awful. The explanation I got later was that my husband's sister finished the tomato rice with butter to make it creamier, and then forgot she put it in there before serving it to me. It seems like it could be an innocent mistake, but given the combination of everything that happened this weekend, I'm starting to feel suspicious that it's more than just that at this point. I don't know if I'm overreacting or just being a paranoid mess, because this is a huge accusation, but I can't help but feel that niggling suspicion that maybe my husband's sister genuinely meant me harm. I feel like I'm effing crazy. Relevant comments and additional information from the OP. On the Sills snide comments. Here are some examples I remember off the top of my head. After my maid of honor went around showing us pictures of her dog, a doodle, apparently my husband's sister made a comment along the lines of, "I don't know why people even get doodles. They're so unethical." She made a comment about how much my maid of honor loaded her plate during a girl's night out to eat. Later on that night out, she apparently insinuated that another bridesmaid of mine had drugstore makeup, saying it in a way that made her uncomfortable. If she got an apology about the rice and butter and what her husband thought. Yes, I did get an apology from her about the rice. My husband was pissed at her about it and went off on her about being so careless, but he seems to think it was just a really dumb accident on her part. I'm going to tell him about the other incidents though. Her relationship with her cell. Thank you for the advice and support. It's weird. At certain points on this trip, she's been the friendliest she's ever been to me, and it seemed like maybe she was finally warming up to me. But then it would be mixed with events like these, and it just confuses me even more. I don't know why she doesn't like me to begin with. I really did and still do want to have a bond with my sister-in-law, but I guess maybe that was never on the cards. OP on why she didn't call out the sill. I wasn't having the easiest time saying anything at all. By the time I'd caught my breath, my husband's sister was already out of the lake, and I didn't quite know if I even had a right to be mad. Accidents happen. I thought maybe she'd been sitting on me, wondering why I wasn't lifting her up already. I didn't have that same level of familiarity with her as I would with an actual sister. If I'd called her out, it would have been more of an issue, if that makes sense. It all happened so fast. In hindsight, I recognize now that I absolutely should have said something to somebody about it. But yeah, and my therapist does tell me I'm a massive people pleaser. My husband and I balance each other out a lot, because he's the more extroverted one who isn't afraid of confrontation. I do agree, though, that there needs to be more boundaries on my part, and it's something I'm working on. Update. I attempted to post this update to true off my chest, but for some reason, it keeps getting taken down. I don't know why. So for the time being, I'll post my update here for those curious. First off, I'd like to extend my most sincere gratitude to the Redditors who took the time out of their day to give me advice. I wasn't expecting so many people to come to my support and confirm I wasn't being crazy or overreacting. I definitely needed to hear it, and in retrospect, I think this whole situation was really the wake-up call. I needed to be more assertive and confident in my assessment of situations. A book I noticed a lot of Redditors recommended to me was Gavin de Becker's The Gift of Fear, so I gave it a look and have now begun reading it. So far, I've found it really insightful. Anyway, here's what's happened since my last post. So I did end up talking to my husband about his sister's behavior toward me last weekend. I was planning on sitting him down and just point blank raising my concerns about her. But her name came up organically in conversation. So I ended up using it as a springboard for telling him about last weekend's incidents. As I went through each sketchy incident I had with her, my husband believed me and was angry on my behalf about what happened. He also supports my wishes to keep more of a distance from her going forward. He told me to let him know if she ever pulls anything like the incidents in the water or sea-doo again, the dairy thing he still believes to be a genuine accident. Apparently, she was in tears over how badly she felt about that. Apparently, my sister-in-law's behaviors last weekend weren't 100% out of character for her. After telling my husband about my incidents with her, he explained to me that she's had a history of crossing lines and testing the limits of people's boundaries like this, albeit never this egregiously. Until college, she struggled making and keeping friends due to constantly crossing peers' boundaries. My husband even had to come to her aid in grade school due to her pissing off the wrong people who were ready to beat her arse. He thought she'd gotten much better in recent years, which is why he was so taken aback when I told him about the stuff she did last weekend. Apparently, she's been in therapy for a very long time now to treat some mental health and behavioral issues. My husband Wassie's pissed at her for what she did to me, but he genuinely doesn't think her intentions were to unalive or maim me just to test my limits and haze me, albeit extremely recklessly. I'm inclined to agree with him, but my guard is still up in case it's anything more than that. His theory is that because I'm quite shy, she figured I was less likely to put my foot down with her, and that's why she did stuff to F with me in particular. It's not anything I did or said. Yes, I did ask. So going forward, I'm going to try to keep her informed of any interactions I have with her at future family events and stuff. I'll still be polite, of course, but no way am I going to be alone with her anymore. And my husband says he's on board with this arrangement and will intervene if necessary to make sure it stays. It sucks to realize I'm probably never going to have a good relationship with my sister-in-law like I'd hoped. I've never had siblings before, so I was excited by the idea of having someone accept me as a sister and having that sort of relationship. Oh well, I get along well with the rest of his family, and I have enough kick-arse friends in my life who are like sisters to me in their own way. Haha. Relevant comments and additional information. I'm an idiot. I'm so glad your husband believed you right away. And he's got your back from now on. I don't know why, but but I find your Sill's behavior scary. It makes me curious what her mental health and behavioral issues are. Please stay vigilant with her, even if she tries to make up and win your trust back. Also, it's okay to let people go. Not all relationships are worth it, even within families. Please do whatever you need to keep yourself safe. Take care, OP. I'll preface this response by saying, I don't judge anybody for going through mental health issues. I have plenty myself. And I don't want to further the stigmatization against my sister-in-law's disorders when I mention them. From what I remember my husband telling me, she had some sort of conduct disorder as a kid, then got diagnosed with bipolar disorder and ADHD. It's possible she has autism too, which would make sense considering a lot of her family members, including my husband, have it, and so do I. None of these disorders excuse her behavior. And I don't want anyone walking away thinking these disorders inherently make people behave the way my husband's sister does. Professionalno 19572. I'm glad he's got your back. But I mean, she did try to drown you, so I don't know why he thought she didn't try to unalive you too. But okay. It does stink that you won't have that relationship with her. But at least you know it isn't anything you've said or done. She clearly has unresolved issues. What happens in the future when you have children? Do you leave kids with your in-laws while she's around without you being present? Just make sure you clear all this now with your husband before you have kids. OP. My husband thinks she wasn't trying to drown me, just roughhouse. I'm 50-50 on that one, TBH, and my guard will remain perpetually up with her in any future interactions. Neither my husband nor I want kids, so that's a non-issue as far as I'm concerned. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.